Okay, I think we'll kick off, folks. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. This, for me, is a pretty exciting talk, hiring developers in the age of AI and low-code. So as a product manager, I'm always tasked with looking to the future and how things are changing and how things are evolving and how our industry is evolving. So this is an area that I'm really passionate about and fascinated about. And it's really exciting to be able to bring in two of our key employers to talk about how AI and low-code is impacting their business and share their perspectives with you today. And as we announced earlier this morning in our Coder Insights webcast program over the coming months, we're going to start delivering talks and insights to you on a regular basis on these topics as well. And a lot of it will come from interacting with the likes of Reshmi and Menno and getting their insights and how it's impacting their business. So first of all, thank you very much, Menno, for joining us from Mendix, and Reshmi from Microsoft. It's really exciting to have you today. We really appreciate your time. And just to call out a special mention, Mendix to date has had most conversations with our students over the course of today. So thanks for that. And for all of our employers, the engagement, of course, is critical to us, and our employer partners are really important to us. So thank you so much for that. Mendix and Reshmi, maybe we'll start with just a brief introduction. Or Menno, if you want to start and just give a brief overview of your company and yourselves.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Peter, and it's great being here, to be honest. And I think we'll probably need 2 or 3 hours instead of 50 minutes to explain all the things that are happening. It's a very exciting world we live in, I think. But let's start with a very short introduction of Mendix, the company that I work for. As probably some know or most know, we're actually a software company. We are building only one thing, and that is a low-code, low-ops platform. So basically a SaaS solution or a platform that we offer our customers on which they can very quickly build applications, all kinds of applications, using a low-code way of building those applications. And it started, I think, about 18 years back with 3 students in the Rotterdam University, with a great idea. And now we're about 1,600 people, and we're part of Siemens. So yeah, we are this low-code platform. We are in the top right of the Gartner quadrant. And for people that don't know the Gartner quadrants, please Google it. It's actually a very important thing for organizations that are evaluating software, low-code specifically also. And we're together with Microsoft in the right top. So we're both exactly what we want to be, I guess. And it's my job, coming to what I do, is to keep us there, which sounds easy. It's not, because of course there's a lot of things happening in the market. New technologies come up, AI being one of those examples. And I'm actually, keeping a very close look of what is there, what is happening in the software development space. What are our customers asking us to include in our offering? And I take all that information back to a table of about 6 people in our headquarters, and we basically discuss, and decide on priorities, what to do next. And that is the input, I guess, for product managers and our R&D department. We have about 600 developers that work in, day out, to improve our product. And that's basically what I do. So it's quite an exciting job. I have the opportunity to, talk to customers, most importantly, understand their challenges, and explore how low-code in general can help that, and also make sure that we stay in the right top quadrant.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Menno. And for those of you who aren't aware of the Gartner Magic Conference, Gartner are an analyst company that look at trends in the technology space in particular. So keep an eye on companies like Gartner, Forrester, Deloitte, McKinsey. They'll give really good insights in terms of what's happening to employment and tech in particular. Magic Quadrant is like this X and Y axis, which is compares the completeness of vision to the ability to execute. And you've got challengers, niche players, visionaries, and leaders. And up at the top quadrant, that's the leaders. And it's no mean feat to get into that, I can tell you. So the fact that you've got two top quadrant participant companies here today is really special. And it's a fantastic achievement, and congratulations to you both for doing that. So Reshmi, with that, if you can give us a brief introduction as well from your perspective.
Hi, everybody. I am Reshmi Goff, and I work for Microsoft. So Microsoft, unfortunately, unlike Mendix, is not a one product company. We've got multiple products, but I have the privilege of working in what I consider as being the most exciting part of our business. Now, you've got Azure, which is very DevOps oriented. I don't work on Azure. I don't work on modern work. Everybody knows modern work. That's your Outlook, Teams, and everything else. But when you're looking at it, it is the entire platform, right? So where I work is within business applications, which is our low-code, no-code platform. Again, our low-code, no-code offering is within now the Magic Quadrant. And with the acquisition of ChatGPT from Microsoft and the investment that we're seeing there, who knew Microsoft is now the leader in terms of generative AI globally. And that's really, really exciting, right? Because where we are, the business that I lead from a European and even a global perspective is all of your different business applications. And I have the privilege of working with our engineering team, which is over 5,000 people just in engineering for that part, building our product, our customers, and the sales team, and bringing all of that together. What's exciting about it, right? My own background, I started as a developer many, many moons ago. And then I grew into architecture, into consulting with Deloitte and everything else, and building a career from that and changing along the way. But what's super exciting about what's happening right now is the way we're helping our customers develop faster using low code and no code and adapting, but at the same time putting governance around it and bringing that intelligence from what's happening within different industries. How can we learn from each other? How do we accelerate and make the systems more user-friendly, make them more useful, and just creating that buzz around it. My business is currently growing at over 50% on a year-on-year basis. And part of my job and challenge this year, after the year that the tech industry has had last year, is to maintain, if not accelerate, that growth in this year. And as I said, I work with the engineering teams, with the sales teams, and our customers and marketing, well, in order to get to that magic number of a 50% year-on-year growth. And it's no mean feat, but what we do know is that there is a gap in the market in terms of talent and in terms of people that need to contribute to it. And I know people are afraid of generative AI. What I would say is the analogy we used is where we are at the moment with Gen AI is where the Nokia flip phone was a good few years ago, because everything is to come and we see the change happening so fast, and it's super exciting. So I'm happy to be here to talk to you about how skills and knowledge and experience really transforms and translates into a low code, no code career with AI infused into it, because it's not even the future, it's now, but it's just going to take over. Well, it's not going to, it's already taking over almost everything. And I work with brands like Heineken, Chanel, and people like AB InBev, and, you know, everybody is looking at how can we create better customer experiences, better user experiences by leveraging AI. And for example, I don't do my meetings without using Copilot and Teams. It takes all my notes for me. And if I have a long document to read, it's AI that helps me with it. And I'm a lot more productive as a result of it. So there you are.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you're so right. There's so much discourse at the moment about AI, and you know, you look at the TV and every second program's got scary music and robots and you know, really hyping up. And I heard a really interesting comment at a conference recently where somebody said, look, nobody will lose their job because of AI. They'll but they might lose their job if they're not using AI, right? So because it's such a productivity tool, and it's how we incorporate it into our roles. So, you know, given that those kind of changes and advances, what, you know, and to your comment, Reshmi, what's your expectation then in terms of how is that going to influence career paths for developers in this kind of space?
I think the main part that I would say, talking about past experience and what I'm seeing, jumping straight into AI without understanding how the architecture, how everything else hangs together, is it's not a disadvantage, but it's kind of knowing how something works without understanding the underlying architecture. So someone that's coming in from that architecture and understanding of how everything hangs together, understanding the different pieces that go together, it's an absolute advantage, because what you are able to do is to understand how everything works together. But with AI, it's that enhancement of what you already know and bringing together the business processes. And for me, what I really like about Code Institute's approach, right, is people are changing from one career to another and learning code at the same time, right? Bringing in the knowledge of your previous career and understanding how the world works is what's the most important part, and leveraging AI in order to make that happen. And it's being more precise with what you want the system to do and saying it in plain English, right? What is it that I'm trying to achieve here? And leveraging AI and low code to make it happen. That's the main part, in my opinion. All the experience that you're bringing in from a dev perspective is extremely important, because, as I said, I've built a career being a developer, then I went into low code, no code. I was only ever good at low code, no code as an architect and a solution designer, because I understood how development worked, how the architecture worked, and it made my life a lot simpler, a lot simpler. And that's the same kind of approach that I am seeing with Gen AI and with low code, no code, is leveraging the knowledge you have to simplify and utilizing the technology to make life easier. That's how I see it, to be honest.
Brilliant. And Menno, from your perspective, do you see something similar?
It is similar. So it's quite interesting, actually, because, you know, we implemented the first AI in our technology around 4 years back. It wasn't obviously as you know, hyped as now. And we're continuously evolving, and now we get to a stage where, you know, we take the next level, and it's here to stay, no doubt about it. And I think the interesting part is that low code and generative AI, or AI in general, sits together very nicely, hand in glove almost, I think. And it has to do with the types of developers that low code is actually supporting. And I don't think there's one profile for a developer. There's all kinds of profiles. I think of it as a spectrum. Right? On the very one end, there's the citizen developer, or the business technologist, if you like. On the other side is the professional developer. And they both probably will benefit in a different way from what low code is to offer. On the citizen developer, probably through a few lines of a few good prompts, you can probably, you know, build an application in a matter of minutes by AI. And for the pro dev, it's probably more about code checking, completion, you know, security validation, and those kind of things. It's a different benefit that it will bring. I think the nice part and where it comes together is that I think the citizen dev and the pro dev, they work together. They can't live on their islands. They have to work together in fusion teams, as they're called. And I think there's really what I see, a lot of career opportunities if you can really grasp, or, you know, that togetherness, coming together, understanding both the business side of things and the technical side of things, and having an ability to work together. I think there's where you meet, and that's where I see, you know, that's what we look for. But also the customers that we serve, they also look for a lot of development capacity. That's what they look for, right? So I think it's that career path that really makes sense, and AI really speeds it up. There's no doubt in my mind that AI is going to take away work for developers. I think it's going to increase rapidly. The capabilities are endless, right? So yeah, that's I guess the future is definitely for what I think is the extraordinary developers that have special skills. Probably to what Reshmi said, right? Skills that go beyond development, skills that go into the business side or into the technical side, bring that together, have a very good understanding of what new technologies such as AI can bring to a business, and incorporate that in an application. I think if you master that piece, you're in the right spot for sure.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I guess the emphasis comes on having that more product focused, doesn't it? And really understanding what you want to get from the technology and then how to harness it right. A friend of mine kind of came up with the analogy that, it's a bit like having a buddy who's a PhD and is a know-all, right? You can ask them questions, but you have to ask them the wrong question. You could be waiting for a half an hour with a stream of consciousness coming your way and not really get the question you asked answered. So it's about asking the right questions so you get the precise piece of information you need, or the precise piece of functionality to a certain extent. But again, I suppose that threat and opportunity side, Reshmi, in terms of the opportunities, where do you see the big opportunities, especially for developers who are coming into a career now and looking forward over the next number of years?
So what I would say, right, I want to go back to something Menno mentioned. It's the fusion team, right? So pro dev and the citizen developer, that's part of it, but it's also your business analyst and bringing all of them together. So a couple of things that I wanted to share, right? What we have seen, I'm going to mention Forrester and some other studies as well here. What we're looking at, there's an absolute surge in digital demand. The number is 750 million. More apps will be created in the next 3 years than in the last 40 years. Think about that. The next 3 years is going to be more than what we did in the last 40 years, right? And then what we're looking at is 50% of the digital work can be automated with the current tech that exists. Now, if you infuse that with AI, what are we seeing? Nearly 80% of the managers are seeing that increased pro and citizen development collaboration that needs to happen, right? And what we do know is that there's an absolute developer shortfall, about 4 million globally at this point in time, right? Why is that? So what we're looking there is most companies struggle with tech talent. My team, for example, where I sit, we're in pre-sales, but we're not just sales. So we do want people that have got that ability to understand the tech, maybe not in depth as you would have a pro developer, but being able to understand how it stays to help our customers. In terms of the developers, where is the opportunity? If we're looking at Ireland, right, I know that as a software company, we sell a product, right? In order to make the product useful and customized for the customer's needs, we need developers, and that's within the partner network. Our partners are crying out for talent in terms of developers to execute this. This is huge. And people, even though there has been the tech challenge that we saw last year, loads of people being laid off, every single person that I know that was impacted has a job now. And some of them, like you see, it's like the partner network, the likes of, by partners, I mean, developers, firms like Deloitte would be one of them, Accenture would be one of them, Avanade, you're looking at your EYs, and then there's a whole load of more niche partners as well, where there's a huge demand of developers and in order to make this happen, because that's where we're serving our customers. And this is not just in Ireland, right? As I said, I work across Europe and the US as well. Every time we're speaking to a customer and we're looking at who could help them, my first question is, do they have the developer capacity? which means that is there people in there that can execute? And unfortunately, because there's this demand, this really high demand into talented developers, a lot of our partners are still building their practices at the moment. And we do try to help. We do try to make sure they get the right resources so that our customers can also be successful. But the partner network is absolutely huge. And in terms of product as well, if you want to be building product from a, let's say, Mendix or even Microsoft perspective, and I can't speak for Mendix, but Microsoft certainly, we do have a product engineering team here in Ireland, but like all American companies, product engineering is normally concentrated in the US, but Microsoft, fortunately, we do have an engineering team here because at some point in time, we realized that localization and the legal compliance pieces in Europe matters. And this is why we have got an engineering team based here as well. So I would say developers, pro dev, or citizen development, look to your network from the partner network, the system integrators, as they would be known everywhere. There's your global system integrators, but there's more localized one as well. They are crying out for talent at the moment. And then if product engineering is what you're interested in companies that are America-based, these would typically be in the US, but ours, for example, we definitely have a product team here based in Ireland as well.
Great. And Menno, in terms of your space, then where do you see those emerging opportunities for the new developer?
Yeah. So our development takes place predominantly in the Netherlands, but scattered across the globe. Basically, we have supporting functions and also developer functions. So I think we have a pretty good work from anywhere approach as well. So I think there's an opportunity for everybody. We're looking for the exceptional talent, to be fair, but because look at this, what we do, we develop software for developers. So it's, in my opinion, it's extra challenging, right? Which is fun, but we need those people that have a very good appreciation of what software development really is, and a good appreciation of all the surrounding technologies, and that's really, you know, that's key of what we do. And we have a lot of supporting functions like already told, right? We have consulting, we have expert services, pre-sales. So those are also career paths that people take within our organization, but also come from external. That's us, but the partners, you're right, and our customers. Funnily, or maybe not so funny, but if I ask what is the biggest challenge you currently face with low-code technology, and people say it's people. It's not the technology. It's robust. It's there. It's getting the right people that can help them fulfill their dreams. And so with our partners, there's a lot of opportunity to work at our customers. A lot of opportunity to work. So I think it's definitely a space, the low-code space, where you can. Certainly find a lot of opportunity. Maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I think what we also look for, and what I hear customers of ours look for is people that have like a bit of extra. Knowing development is great, and it's the base, of course. But having a good appreciation, perhaps, of things like organizational structures, or legal, or compliance, or environmental sustainability, those extra topics that make a lot of sense. That allows the developer to really participate in relevant, business software, right? So what I hear my internally, but also externally, what we ask for is this little bit of extra. People that have gone a little bit beyond the traditional development track, a little bit unconventional. That's what we really like as well. So just wanted to add that.
Great. So that's really interesting, because I think what you mentioned there. Because you're developing for developers, right? So that context is really important, and that knowledge of the process, that deep dive knowledge of exactly how a developer thinks and how they work and how they incorporate it, is really important to your solution set. And I think, Reshmi, you've mentioned this previously when we spoke before, that knowledge of the business process and the fundamentals of what your stakeholders are trying to achieve is so important in this space, you know, and to give relevance.
On that part, what I would say, right, as I said, I started out as a developer, but every time that, what I would advise anyone starting out, right, do not start with the product. Do not start with what the product can do when you meet your customer or when you're trying to solve a problem. Sit in, listen to what is going on around you and understand where the challenges are. And you'll start seeing themes coming through, because we're people, right? People do people things. We don't agree on half of the things. But when you start listening, you'll start seeing themes coming across, and there's always something that people would agree on. Once you've got that, then start thinking about, how am I going to be able to solve it? But before you do that, validate that your understanding of the problem is what the customer is. I always used to say, look, you're the experts in what you do on a day-to-day basis. I don't know your business as well as you know your business, and neither will I pretend that I do. What I used to do was, this is my understanding. You do this, this, this. Where's the data coming from? Who consumes it afterwards? Why is it important? How is it getting to you? Understanding how the information is flowing and who's benefiting from it, and why is it important to the business is extremely important. Then what I would go, I would look at it and I'd play with it. I'd draw everything out, and I'll go, right, so where can we build efficiencies, and why are we doing this? Why does this need to be solved? What's working? What's not working? And go back, validate what's working, what's not working, what the impact is, and then utilize your knowledge as a developer in order to solve for this. Not everything needs to get solved. Not everything needs to get solved, but solving the right problems that matter to the business and are impactful to them, that's the most important one. And I really like what Menno said. There's that bit extra. For me, the extra bit is not being a super developer, no. The extra bit is being able to understand, why is this important to your customer and how are you going to help them? I see a good developer as someone that's able to say, I understand your pain, I'm going to make it go away. And that's kind of, it's that big hug that a developer can do and say, I'm going to make that pain go away. To me, that's the extra bit.
Yeah,
I think that's so true. Yeah. Go ahead, Menno.
No, I like that a lot, of course. And I'm actually quite jealous of people starting their careers right now. Because also me, I was a developer once, and there were lots of limitations. But if you look at the current situation in IT, we live in a software, you know, we live in an era where all functionality is available somewhere through an API. Everything is API'd almost, right? And data is everywhere. Analytics is possible on huge data sets. Unlimited compute power in Azure or other cloud platforms, right? And now with AI, it's a world of opportunity. So I think the limitation in the developer space is in the creativity and curiosity. So those assets, I think, become much more important than ever before. Coming up with the right combination and bringing those things together through low code or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that is where you probably, you know, can build a career on. And yeah, I'm quite jealous of that. In my time, it was so difficult. You know, I still remember writing, you know, C or assembly even, to be honest.
Yeah.
Different world, exciting.
I share that painful past. My final year project was on an 8051 microcontroller.
Exactly.
The most exciting thing you can imagine. But, and, you know, thinking back, you know, in terms of the amount of code it used to take just to generate something so simple, and the frustration when you could see in your head what you wanted to produce, you could understand where you wanted to get, but it took so long to get there. Now we can accelerate that process and bring our solutions in front of our stakeholders so much easier and show our impact in such a more profound way. It's really exciting stuff. And I suppose to our students who are listening right now, you know, and this is a theme that's come up several times today, your context is so important, because what's unique about a career changer is that you've had a career. somewhere else, and you bring that context and that knowledge of a process and knowledge of that stakeholder need. And that's such an important insight to bring to that conversation and that process as you go forward, and gives you that uniqueness and creativity as well. And I think you talked to Brian earlier, who's on our program team, and he gets so passionate about that, right? We get people who haven't come through other educational routes, who might think a little differently from your classic student, but that uniqueness and creativity stands so much then when you come into a space like this. So that's brilliant. In terms of skill sets then, to fuel that creativity and to empower our students to harness it. And I see questions coming in about where to go and get those skill sets and how to acquire them, what people should be focusing on. Reshmi, where do you see the greatest emphasis on emerging skill sets or skill sets to support these emerging technologies?
I think to support it, and I don't think it's an emerging skill set. To be honest, I think it's been there since forever. And because like you, when I started out, I had a BSc honors in computer science. I had a master's in electronic business systems. I didn't know anything about how the world worked when I started working. I was brilliant from an academic perspective, yes, but I didn't know how businesses actually work because I had never really sat with a business from an end-to-end perspective. So this very old, what I would say is fundamentally, everything we solve for is a people problem. It's a human problem. Put the human being at the center of it. So in my day, over 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago now, when I was at uni, it was called human-centered design. Essentially, what I'm saying is business analysis skills is extremely important. Understanding how the experience is for your end users is really important. How you acquire those skills. There's courses online, and if I'm not mistaken, Peter, there's something with Code Institute as well around business analysis. And as an example, when I did join Microsoft, one of the things that I recommended was for every single person that was in pre-sales, while they understood the tech, I was like, you need to go and do some business analysis vision in order to understand how your customer is going from A to B. And to be honest, I've worked in fintech, I've worked in pharmaceuticals, I've worked in education, and now in retail and CPG. Most of these, I had no idea when I started out what the business processes looked like, but the skill set I had acquired as a business analyst helped me sit down and understand what the patterns were, where they were going with the business. And as I said, fundamentally, it is a people problem, and it is creating governance around it. To me, a good business analyst is worth, I don't know, it's where a project fails or is successful. Because if you don't, to me, this is where every project I have delivered in the past, I would have spent over 60% of the time in the business analysis phase, because once that was validated, the development and the execution and your UAT becomes really simple, because you've got the business on board, you've got that good understanding, and you're not going to deviate that much from what the baseline is, because at the heart of it, it's the business processes. To me, and maybe people would disagree, but I do think that a good business analysis foundation is really important to make every single developer or people taking a career in tech and implementation to be successful.
Yeah, that's great. And Menno, you're obviously deep into the software development process. Where in terms of that skills evolution or the changing of the process and the workflow, do you see an impact then on the skill sets in terms of how that development workflow changes with the introduction of a low-code AI type of tool set?
Yeah, Yeah, that's a good one, right? We're continuously looking for the next big thing, right? So obviously, I think what low code excels is concatenating all the discrete activities that you have to do in order to get an application from somebody's mind, an idea, into an application that runs somewhere securely, compliance-wise, everything in order. That whole chain of activities is something we in low code try to make as easy as possible. That's really what we do. So all these different aspects are kind of covered by the technology. I think what is, and one thing that we may, and I'm probably deviating a little bit from your question, but it's top of mind for me now. No single person that I've met ever is able to grasp all of that in one single mind. That would be too much, really. So I think it is about picking where your strength is. So yes, fundamental skills of software development and completely subscribe to the business analyst importance. But pick your strength, whether that's in understanding a business or having a legal specialty. It could also be deep technical. And for us, those people are super important. We need also people that have a very deep technical understanding of cloud deployment, cloud nativeness, deployment, scalability, globalization, everything that comes with this. And it's big by itself, right? And you can't be an expert in both, right? So I think we're in what we try to do in software development is grasp, everything, and we call it DevOps or biz DevOps, or we invent new terms once in a while, but it's a lot of things. And concatenating that all together is I think also a strength, a power that you probably need to learn and still appreciate the specialities of each individual part. And AI clearly is helping in that part. I can think of 1,000 ideas where AI is going to help our people and our technology in making that even easier. With low code, I think we and Microsoft does about the same. I think we say 10 times faster or something along those lines. And it could be 7, could be 12, it depends, but a lot faster. But I honestly think, with AI, we can go 100 times faster. I believe that. Not today, not tomorrow, but maybe next year or something, right? So we're looking for people as well that have this creativity, know the development process, and think with us on where the next acceleration is going to be. And that is, that's something we have to find. I don't know it yet, but I'm looking for people that can help me there. So.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space, and it's kind of, when you look at one end of the spectrum, we need those really specialist skills to dive in and build the models and build the frameworks and what have you. On the other end of the spectrum, we have a very different kind of a talent, which is harnessing them and utilizing them and putting them to work, and where we've all got the context and the analytics type skills. And in there's such a spectrum of opportunity and different pathways that open up, which is really exciting. I think it's interesting, Reshmi, your comments there in terms of putting that extra effort into the analysis up front. My dad used to always say, kind of, measure twice, cut once. Now, he was a terrible carpenter. You should see what he built. It's awful. But at least he had the right idea. And it's, and from a product management perspective, again, that's always been a mantra, is trying to really understand what you want to do. Because if you can move 100 times faster, then you get 100 times quicker to the wrong destination, of course, and be able to harness that. I noticed some of the comments in the chat there. Somebody is mentioning the accuracy of some of the models, and I know there was some discussion around ChatGPT, but I think that comes back to some of the importance of having those baseline skills, right? So you need to know your stuff when you're coding and utilizing these skills, because you need to know when you're getting quality or not back, or if it's going to fit the context you're in. And I see ChatGPT like the overeager buddy who wants to help you all the time, and sometimes they want to help you so much that they fib a little and give you the wrong data, right? So if you can see the woods and the trees, it's great. But otherwise, you're subject to those inaccuracies. And again, back to context and understanding. So that's super. So in terms of, say, looking at, I suppose, key trends over the next 2 to 3 years, what do you think is the next big barrier to overcome in terms of the direction low-code and AI are going? What do you see the issues that face the evolution of the space right now?
I wanted to that point and to what you just mentioned and what was people were talking about the accuracy of the models. And all of the developers here would be familiar with GitHub's Copilot function, right? It's called Copilot. It's not pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Copilot. And at Microsoft, we have hundreds of Copilots at this point on every single one of our product. And we're also creating them for accessibility. So we're making all of our products with a Copilot. And then from an accessibility perspective as well, there's a Copilot for that as well. And I can't stress enough, like everyone gets a Copilot. It's like Oprah at the moment over here. But joking aside, it is a Copilot. It is not a pilot. It still requires a human validation. And if I am going to rely solely on what the machine is saying to me and take it for gospel truth, we're in trouble. To me, that's one of the biggest challenges that I see. It's people not questioning or not from a dating perspective, but collaborating with the Gen AI piece and utilizing it in order to make things better rather than relying on it to get things done. I think there's that nuance that people really need to understand. To me, that's the biggest challenge. And sometimes we recently had a demo where we were failing and someone said, why don't we just ask Copilot? And at that stage, and it was not planted, we just went, we have nothing to lose, let's just ask. And it did it, right? It did what we couldn't do as people because we were getting the query or the connection wrong. It was between multiple databases and it got it right. We just said, we need this done, and it did it for us. Now, we were really surprised. We were really delighted that it did happen, but it was a Copilot. It needed instructions from us and it helped us. To me, it is the human element and the human responsibility and accountability while utilizing AI is extremely important. And that's the part that I see developers and people that are involved in software, not just developers, your analysts, your reporting people, your data mining people. This is what is really important. We still need to have people that are accountable for the compliance, the ethics that's involved there. I do think that with the great changes that we're seeing, I'm not going to quote Spider-Man or anything like that, but there is a huge responsibility on the human aspect to make sure that we are utilizing AI for the right reason. The AI for good is absolutely non-negotiable, in my opinion. And the biggest challenge would be where people abdicate responsibility and rely solely on AI to get things done. It is we're not going to go into Skynet mode or into Terminator world or anything like that. That's not what's going to happen. But it is really important that we hold each other accountable and we challenge our governments as well in order to take action towards making responsible AI. It's really important.
It's a huge point, and Menno, I think I welcome your insight.
Yeah, I want to add to that, of course. I think there's also why low-code and AI come together very nicely, because if you are a citizen developer and you prompt the application to generate some application and you get code, what do you do with code? You're a citizen developer, you don't know code, yeah? Because low code, on the other hand, is very business sensible, it's visual, so it's much easier to tune and make it a little bit better than the AI gave you, right? So I think for the coming years, probably low code and AI together form a very, very strong combination, I think. Just wanted to add to that.
No,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. And
yeah.
I suppose back to the ethical and responsibilities. I know going through the research across Deloitte and McKinsey and Gartner in particular, consistently when talking to CEOs and CTOs, they identify trust as being the biggest barrier we have to overcome, because now technology, we're putting so much trust in technology, we already do, but I think we have to be scrupulously transparent, and also issues like the data protection, your GDPRs, and they become so much more important as developers, to be really cognizant of that, and really cognizant of not stepping over the mark and abusing the boundaries on those. Because if we lose that trust with our customer, that's the end. So it's going to be fascinating to see that, how the policymakers handle the whole AI explosion over the next couple of years, and turn that into something workable. But that's great. In terms of that evolution, then I've seen the Copilot on the Microsoft side. Reshmi, is really exciting and so much fun to play with. And I think that, back to the whole creativity piece, that's where a lot of that, being able to play around, being able to try something out quick, pivot quickly and get those insights. And sometimes it could be very quirky, kind of an insight. And it's like having that highly creative member of the team that suddenly comes up with a different perspective you could never see, and just unlock something which is really, really good. So we're heading into about the last 10 minutes now, and maybe we'd like to scan just for the chat window there. And I'm just going to take a quick review of some of the questions that are coming in. A lot of people asking where they can learn more about low code, no code. And I noticed we put in a link there from the Mendix site. You've got some really good learning tools out there, Menno, which is really good. And Reshmi, I'm sure Microsoft
I will send you over the, because there's also the Microsoft Docs and the Microsoft Academy that's entirely free from a low code, no code perspective. And it's not just us, right? So it's some of our main competitors at Microsoft have amazing, training online that you can just pick up, and away you go. It is very much, I mean, that's how I learned low code. I didn't go onto a course. I just started. I just started one day and I was like, oh, okay. And it was still a model view controller kind of architecture in the background. And all of my my development background helped me understand how to make best use of it. So I'll share those links over to you as well.
That's very true. If you have a developer background, it's so easy to learn. It is so easy to learn. Yeah, absolutely.
If you understand databases, if you understand development, life is so easy with low code, no code. You just go, oh, okay, this is how the data is hanging. That's how I need to get it done. Because there's also the danger where people tend to recode on top of low code. Don't do that. Utilize what's available. Do not reinvent the wheel. And I've seen some implementations of certain low-code platforms where people recoded the whole thing. And I'm like, no, adhere to best practices. Adhere to best practices of the platform that you're utilizing, and make sure that, when we say low-code, no-code, it is a double-edged sword. You can do just about anything really fast. But there's also the fact that you need to adhere to the best practices to make sure that the maintenance of what you're creating is simple and straightforward as well, that just about anyone can pick it up and understand it. I used to take huge pride in making sure that the documentation and the whys and the wherefores were there, because just because you can do something quickly and fast, whether it's low code, no code, or with AI, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this the right thing to do here? Or is there a better way or a different way to doing it? It is important to ask yourself those questions as well.
Brilliant. I think we have to kind of round back again to having those fundamental software development practices and rigor around what you do, whether it's in low code or standard code. And for students again who are just learning to code at the moment, resist temptation to use your coding copilots just yet, right? Go learn your code first, right? Learn how to do it right the hard way. and that process will teach you, and then when you do know how to code, and you do know how to structure it and document it and so on and so forth, then introduce the copilots and use it to accelerate your route forward. And that's really important. Get your fundamentals right, and keep those fundamental principles applying no matter what platform you're using. So brilliant. And we'll share those links. As we said earlier on, we've got the coding. We've got the new webinars coming online probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll have an announcement coming on that, and we start including segments on low code, no code, and on AI and the rest. They're not part of your course, but there's no cost associated. Just in the same way, I think this whole industry would need to conspire to enable our new graduates to be ready to hit the ground running with all these exciting new technologies. But definitely, I think, I've been a long time in this industry. I don't think I've seen anything quite as exciting as the evolution of low code, no code, and AI over the last 3 or 4 years. It's a very bright future.
Yeah, it's just starting. Maybe 2 minutes if I have, but you asked about the evolution, and we're currently thinking about things like hyperscale, and I'm sure Microsoft is doing the same, right? Our customers are using our platform for thousands of applications, and maintaining those applications in a compliant way is the big question, right? So we're evolving our technology to encompass that, and we need bright minds to help us, think of how to do that. And I think the next other thing, there's several low codes. There's Microsoft low code, there's Mendix low code, there's others. I think we're thinking about interoperability as well, right? How can we make sure our customers can utilize several low codes and make sure they can move from one to the other? It's a bit longer term, but these are topics that are top of mind for us as well. So again, next level. The topics, bright minds we need, creative people we need to get us there, and we want to stay the leader in this quadrant, so we need those people to help us out on these topics. And
you're right, Menno, right? It's the interoperability between the different platforms. I do remember when I had to do ETL sessions and the connections from the APIs and everything else, but what I do like is, and I know I work for Microsoft now, but there's some products that when I just saw them, I got so excited. I'm looking at what they're calling Fabric, where you've got all of your connectors there. And it's quite recent. It's a few months ago, and it's still evolving. I was so excited looking at it because I do remember as a developer and working with ETL tools, how painful that could have been, because I needed to make sure the data matched and everything else to be able to consume and get the right insights for my end users. And it came from multiple sources, multiple different systems, different technologies. But we are moving towards that. And in the gaming industry, for example, we're not far off to being able to play on your Sony Ericsson and Xbox and everything else on the same server. And I think there was a piece of code that was inadvertently released last year where that was possible. It is possible today. So companies are becoming more and more open to work together. And that's really, really important. And what Menno said there is really important. We need bright minds to make this as simple as possible, because as a consumer, as an end user, we don't care where the information is coming from. And no system exists in the same technology. That just doesn't exist. Everyone has got a mishmash of everything. And the beauty of it is, how do we bring it all together in a meaningful and easy manner? And we need bright minds for that. Absolutely.
100%.
Brilliant. And on that note, I've got Dara waving frantically in the window at me here to shut down the session and open up the next chat session. So I'd like to thank Menno and Reshmi so much for joining us today. I think this is an incredibly exciting space. It's an incredibly bright future. And as you said, it's a great time to be joining the industry. So thank you very much for joining us today. And we'll get back to all of you if you have any questions. And we look forward to drilling into this topic in our webcast over the next couple of months. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Take care.